Melanie was talking to Aniya about maybe wanting to close things off with Lord Farquaad, which is what someone called insincere during the Casa Amor challenge. Honestly, this cast really does have some Shrek characters. Because Jen was Princess Fiona in the fairy tale challenge, and Zach is the donkey, aka the horse's ass. What is up, everybody? Back to talk another Love Island USA episode 17, I believe. We finally have our Casa Amor. We have a twist that I think was a necessary evil by production, which we will get into. But I guess we gotta start with yet another fight between Aniya and KC, where their incompatibility, where communication is concerned, was drudged up again. Aniya upset that again, in all the chats that KC and her had, he talked about how he didn't want to explore Soul. If he wanted to explore Soul, he would. She didn't learn from him that he was trying to keep Soul in the game the other night. And now when she talks to him, his story has changed, that he was only trying to save Soul, and says he would explore if she was still here. Per usual, there will be people out there that can only see this from Casey's point of view for some odd reason. But I don't know. I'm starting to feel like it's even harder to break down logic to Love Island fans than it is to break down logic to Big Brother fans. And I say that very derogatory. That's me saying Love Island fans are more stupid than Big Brother fans, which is something I never thought would be possible. But here we are. Because from Aniya's point of view, anytime Casey has talked to her about Soul, it's been he didn't want to. She said you could explore. He said nah. He said if he wanted to explore Soul, he would have. He said he wasn't feeling Soul anymore. But then he's always saying different things behind Aniya's back. Like, I could understand why Aniya would be driven crazy by that. And then Casey wants to get in confessional saying he can't fix a person who is broken from past trauma. That's what he told the guys. Actually, that wasn't in confessional. Casey is feeling restricted, I guess, and she says she has told him countless times she didn't care if he explores. I mean, I will say sometimes when Aniya does say it is a bit like, can you believe her, really? But it still goes back to, like, Casey has his own agency, and so Casey using that as an excuse, don't love it. The funniest thing to me, and it's annoying too, is Casey in the last episode or 2 episodes ago when Soul was going home, he was the one that was trying to really understand her feelings and, make her feel better, only for her to leave the house and call him a pussy-ass bitch. And then with Aniya, he seems just so bothered trying to get her to understand. And sure, maybe he's sick of it. But, for someone who talked about his aura later in the episode, I feel like Casey has such a loser aura, and that is why his fan base is collecting all of these guys that are trying to live vicariously through him, which I think is pathetic. But we'll get to that at the end, too. Melanie was telling Aniya that she better explore. Sincere was giving his fucking ice cream comparisons. You got to compare everything in the damn house. Casey could like pistachio, but maybe there's some strawberry that he likes too. Ridiculous. I am glad they had another fight right before Casa so that Casey can get the exploring out of his system, or just find somebody else. And hopefully Aniya can find someone who actually does communicate well with her, and not everyone in the villa accept her. And I'm tired of people acting like that hasn't been the case. Casey goes around yapping in this damn house, and yet he can't tell Aniya what he's telling everything else. And then she hears it from other people. That's not Aniya's fault. That's 100% Casey's fault. Let's move on to Zach, who was, I guess, jealous of Kada and Caleb. Caleb, who took her away for a chat, and I guess during the challenge, he took off his shirt, and Zach was complaining about how it lost its specialness when he wanted to do that to her in the challenge. I just still need Kayda to stand up with Zach here. This was not a good episode for these two. One thing I don't see is, Zach treating Kayda like shit. nobody questioning if Zach is really, really into Kayda. You know, is Kayda desirable? Those are some of the other chats going on with some of the other women, but not Kayda, although we know why Zach doesn't desire Kayda, which we'll get into. Zach was getting petty when Kayda was saying she was open to more chats with Caleb. He was talking about how he would pull Melanie, later admitting that he only said that to try and make Kayda jealous. Then he said he needed to talk to Bryce about it, so he pulled Bryce to talk. Kayda was getting more and more upset, so they bickered again that night. Kayda in confessional saying that Zach is an overthinker and that he is hurting, or she's hurting his feelings or some shit. And I don't know if Kayda was recognizing the fact that he was just trying to do some emotional manipulation. Then the next morning, Zach didn't even make her breakfast. I don't know. This seems pretty unstable to me. You know, a lot of the girls have been called unstable. Some were, like Melanie, for 24 hours. Others maybe not as much. But Zach pretty unstable here being a baby. He's being a big old baby that Kayda could dare to ruin his plans. Kenzie and Corbin, she likes it when he goes in to kiss her instead of her being the one to kiss him all the time. I think during that conversation, the AI within Corbin was thinking it might violate his terms and conditions of consent. But then Kenzie was still going around with her fucking "I'm not lustful" campaign, which continued to irk me. She's such a fucking bullshitter. She had a conversation with KC and Lord Farquaad talking about why they were thinking about sending her home. And they were saying they weren't going to send her home. I don't think they were going to send her home either. I think they just talked about every girl. They brought up good points as to why they could send her home, though. But I guess that made Kenzie feel better. Bryce and Trinity didn't have too much time in this episode. Bryce did finally show Trinity his dick instead of showing it to Zach. So I guess that's one step in the right direction for them. Trinity talking about how she really likes Bryce, and her and some of the girls talking about Zach and Bryce's cute bromance. So they are aware of this extreme bromance between Zach and Bryce. Something happened that night with not so lustful Kenzie and French fries sex, which took me forever to find because I'm old as fuck. Although I do think it's stupid slang, but it just sounds like Kenzie had Corbin's finger again, but she's not lustful. Boring Caleb annoyed me the next morning. He made this big old breakfast. He had a chance to bring it to Kayda and really actually show us that maybe he can have some sort of entertaining bombshell in him. But no, he brought it to Jen instead. And then right before our Casa twist, Melanie was talking to Aniya about maybe wanting to close things off with Lord Farquaad, which is what someone called insincere during the Casa Amor challenge. Honestly, this cast really does have some Shrek characters, because Jen was Princess Fiona in the fairy tale challenge, and Zach is the donkey, aka the horse's ass. So the cast really building into Shrek here. But Melanie really, really likes Sincere, and of course this is terrible timing because Casa is about to start. Although people were saying that Sincere was the most respectable guy during the challenge at Casa, I don't know if I fully agree with that. He had some lust in his eyes. Let's go over some of the things that happened with the Casa twist. Now, obviously, the girls did not have a good night. They got all dressed up, thinking they were about to do the heart rate challenge, a classic Love Island challenge here, only for there to be this big gift that comes down, and it's a TV screen for them to watch the guys at Casa. And new girls doing the heart rate challenge on their men. Amora was the first girl up, who is 21. I think she went in pretty hard on Zach and KC. Aniya watching this, knowing that KC is going to do the most. And KC did look pretty happy with all of that. Once again, it's funny to me because KC's hardest stands are talking about, oh, KC's never smiled this much with Aniya, and yet they want to call Aniya crazy for feeling some kind of way and having an intuition about KC the whole time. Like, make it make sense. The next girl was Permita or something to that effect. She was clearly the overall guy's favorite. She's the oldest girl. This is the closest we've had a woman to Bryce's age. Do I think she's going to be interested in Bryce? No. Kate was watching this thinking she is Zach's type, and Zach was very excited. Kayda even had tears, and I hate to see it. You know, this was supposed to be our ice queen when she first came in. Her being with Zach has been the worst thing for Kayda, and I hope that she can learn from this experience. I still don't even know what she sees in Zach, to be honest. We've never really got the right explanation for that. But yeah, KC and Corbin were also enjoying Permita doing their little hand signal thing this whole time, which was pissing Kenzie and Aniya off. Sincere had lust in his eyes, especially with these first two kisses. Amora and Permita, when they were done, he was looking at them with pure lust in those eyes. And then Corbin, just a few minutes into Casa Amor, is saying, I'm going back with somebody different. Obviously not knowing that the girls are watching. And obviously Kenzie not going to take that well. Corbin also talking about how they're going to climb this tree. Corbin was having fun. Am I surprised? No. This is the energy that Corbin has had the whole time. And I've never really bought his interest in Kenzie outside of her being someone who I think would give it up to Corbin. Jaden was next, who's 22. Caleb talking about this is a dream come true. Zach was also having a time with her. She pulled Corbin. She had like the cop uniform. She handcuffed Corbin to the pole. Why she got to handcuff Corbin? I don't know about those optics, but Kenzie cracked me up the most actually during this part when she said that she could dance better. And I'm going to give Kenzie her props for once. I do think she could have danced better than whatever the hell Jaden was doing. So I'll give Kenzie this win. Tiara was next, who thinks she is compatible with Casey. You know, she's been watching Casey on the television, and I guess she thinks that's her man. She was twerking on Bryce. Trinity was saying that Bryce is pissing her off and that he looks real scrawny. Trinity's commentary was the best during this watch along by the women, especially when she was getting upset with Bryce. She just wanted to call that old man, Grandpa Bryce, uglier and uglier as the challenge went on. But like I said, Tiara was definitely coming for KC. She pulled KC to sit on his midsection. KC says during his confessional that he has aura in Casa. Listen, KC finally got some real attention and is feeling his corny self now. And the gag is for me that Corbin still out-aura'd him in Casa 2. Aniya was saying that KC and Corbin are lame during this part. And I don't know. I feel like Casey's fan base is so lame to me. I can really hate a person on their fan base. I've talked about this earlier in the season with Melanie's fan base. I like Melanie. Sometimes they could go too far. Well, Casey's fan base is so pathetic to me because half of it is made up of, you know, what everyone is calling boy moms who just baby the hell out of Casey. He could do no wrong. He just a baby. He has no agency of his own. It doesn't matter that his communication sucks ass. And then the other half are these dudes that I feel like are living vicariously through Casey, clearly not getting anything in real life. If they have to live vicariously through Casey on a TV show, celebrating that Casey gonna get him some. The plot has been lost at the end of the day. This is Love Island, not Lust Island. Obviously, the producers of this show, though, the plot has been lost for them, too. Alannah was next. This is our racist. Bryce was liking her dance, but then she was very, very weird with the black guys when she got to Corbin, Casey, and Sincere not wanting them to touch her as much. And then it came out, social media jumped on it right after that. She said the N-word before, so I expect her to be kicked off with the quickness. If they kicked off Vanana or Vasana or whoever the girl was at the beginning of the season before the show started, who sang a song in middle school and got kicked off the show, then I think someone who was doing this, I think in her 20s still, like she is now, yeah, she should be kicked off this show with the quickness. And I don't know what that's going to do to Casa, but producers need to do a better job of casting. Their plans are going to get fucked up. Oh, well, you fucked up with casting. I don't even know how she got cast in the first place, though. Like, she has nobody. Nobody. Like, Kayda can make fun of herself. She ain't got no tits. She ain't got no ass. But, like, Kayda is still attractive. She still has a model-esque body, long legs, something. It's no surprise that in the preview we see that it's Zach going after Alannah because she is the one most shaped like a guy. Sydney was next. Trinity thought this was her doppelganger. She seemed to like KC and Corbin. KC was running out with her, of course. I did find it funny that Trinity thought this was going to be her doppelganger, and then in the preview we see that Bryce is talking to Sydney, although later in this episode when Bryce did his dance, we'll get to that in a second. I'm just going to go in order of my notes. It was after this, though, when Casey ran out with Sydney, where Aniya was saying, it's no longer going to be the nice Aniya. It's no longer going to be the nice Aniya. I mean, I'll believe it when I see it at the end of the day. She's still a Virgo. I worry that she's not going to go all out with all these men coming to Casa. But do I want her to? Yes. Because honestly, Aniya is damned if she does it, damned if she does with the fans anyway. So I would rather see her run out. Melanie was quiet when watching all of this going down. Melanie was saying that if they're this lustful now, they will be this lustful when they go to a club at home. And I need to give Melanie some credit for thinking rational about this. She was clearly seething, and yet this is the first time when she was seething that I felt like she was rational about something. And I don't know if she is going to give it a real try in Casa just to prove her stubborn point, but I hope she does. It was the boys' turn to do a dance. Corbin came out with his ladies, and pulled the blonde. He clearly has a type. Blonde went back to her seat saying, her seat is wet. I don't know what it is with these fake blonde white girls and talking about their kitties. Bryce was so nervous. He says his body can't compete with male bodies, and he did in his short shorts look like Tobias from Arrested Development. For anyone that has watched that show before, he was cringe as expected. Alannah did seem to like Bryce, but she's going to be kicked off the show eventually. Sydney was going in on the kissing to Bryce, biting his lip. She wiped her mouth after, but honestly, I think she was the worst kisser of the two, because I know Bryce gets all this shit for his turtle tongue. Not a lot of people like kissing Bryce. People were giving Aniya shit for her kissing when the show started. This Sydney girl, like, harming a lip on your first kiss, causing harm and blood to a lip on your first kiss, that's not a good thing to me. How are we, drawing blood on a first kiss? Caleb came out. He also pulled the blonde. Sincere was just out here humping. Amora liked his energy, but I think Sincere liked Tiara, but I think Tiara's more into KC. Zach came out and lifted little Alannah like a lot of the guys did because she was the littlest one of the bunch. Although Jaden and Sydney also seemed to like Zach. KC tried to do his big one. Tiara finds him so much fun. KC went in on Perinda or whatever her name is. And then the girls could hear all this fun happening at Casa from where they are at the villa, and Kayda and Kenzie started screaming "fuck you" back to the girls, so maybe some tension whenever the two Casas come together. I do think the twist was a necessary evil, though, because the girls had to be humiliated for the night, and I don't like that they got dressed up for the heart rate challenge and then couldn't participate in said heart rate challenge. Like, that's kind of what annoys me, because this season has been lacking on challenges in the first place, so why are you ruining one of your better challenges? However, making the girls watch and see that the boys ain't shit, and then they're bringing in 12 men for the girls, giving them options, because we know most years The girls don't really mess around in Casa as much as the guys do. The guys go all out, they come back. The girls have to look like idiots for not really exploring. So this gives them a wake up call, and they do need to explore. And if they don't, it's their own faults. That is how I feel that the producers and the show are giving the girls all the opportunity to actually have a real explore session for once in Casa. And I hope that they take it.